So does everything feel important to you all the time? Well, if that is so, then this is the video that's for you. So at first, welcome of course. And today's topic is, does everything feel important to you all the time? And we are gonna discuss on this. So here is the quick overview of what we are gonna do today. So at first, I will take you through all the 4 cycles of this. And the first step is understanding the problem. Then we are gonna have the part of mindset shift. Then I will tell you some practical techniques. And then finally, I will give you an action plan. So let's begin with understanding the problem. So why does everything feel important to you? Number one cause is you have too many things on your plate. Now what does that mean? That simply means that you are doing or you are trying to do too many things at once. Now I will give you a practical example. If you are a student, you are having multiple assignments, multiple homeworks of different subjects, multiple projects you are working on and different things. If you are trying to do each and everything at once, then you are gonna fail in each and everything because your attention is scattered around and you are not getting or not being able to focus in one particular task. You have to remember the line I'm currently going to say, that is, it's not about how much you do, it's about how much you don't do, and the less you do the better. And I'm gonna explain this philosophy in a moment. But before that, point number 2 why you feel this way is your lack of time management skills. Now time management is a highly valued skill in the world, and it's because all of us have a finite amount of time. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, and the only thing that differentiates you or differentiates the successful people from the unsuccessful ones is simply the fact that they have better time management skills. They utilize those 24 hours much better than you do. And number 3 is no priorities list, which I priorly spoke about it in a video. That is the single priority concept. And what I mean by this is there is no such thing such as priorities. The word priority should not be used in its plural form. It's because priority means it is above everything else. More than one thing cannot be your priority. Priority means they are above everything else. So 3 or 4 things cannot be at top of everything. It has to be one thing, and that means you have to get one thing done at a time, not 3 or 4 things going on multiple things at a time. You just have to focus on one thing and you have to dedicate your time, energy and resources into that one particular task. Then finish it, then start with the other task, then repeat this cycle over and over again until all of your tasks are finished. You cannot do so many things at once. You are not a superhuman, you are not an AI. You cannot do multiple things at once. You have to start doing one thing at a time. Now how does that impact our productivity? Number one thing is nothing gets done. Nothing gets done basically means that if you have too much on your plate, you will get nothing done. It's because you will be scared to even start the task, because you will think that, my goodness, it's so much of a big task. How am I gonna do? How am I gonna complete it? What are the steps I need to take? And you will be stressed about the big thing. You will not break it down into smaller chunks and think in a day-to-day or hour-to-hour manner. You will think the big thing and you will get scared. And that is why instead of thinking on a long-term or a big basis, think on a short-term basis. Number 2 is overwhelming tasks. It's because if you have more tasks than you can handle, you will feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of tasks because you are not capable enough to do multiple things at once. In the history of mankind, humans were never developed to multitask. They were developed to put their entire focus in one particular task. And I'm emphasizing this over and over again, and it might seem like a drag, but it is true. We have to do or complete one single task at a time. And of course, too much work equals no work. You will just keep spending your time thinking about how hard it is gonna be. You're not gonna actually work. Now we come to mindset shift. Let me tell you first why mindset is important. Now, if you are someone who believes in the Tate ideology that you only need discipline, I'm not saying it is wrong, but it is not totally correct as well. And I will give you an analogy, that is the smooth road versus rough road analogy. So if you were given an option to choose between a smooth road and a rough road for traveling, what would you rather choose? Would you choose the rough or hardcore path, or would you choose the simpler or smoother path? Of course, everyone is going to choose the smoother path because it is easier and it does not take much energy. This is what mindset does. Mindset makes that hard task a much smoother one. Mindset converts that rough road into a smooth one. Now, if you do a little bit of mindset training and the daunting task becomes easier, then it is actually a great return on investment, because instead of having to push through it by your sheer willpower and discipline, you are going to have the power of mindset with you. And let's be honest, nobody has the David Goggins level of discipline yet, and that is why most of us are gonna encounter, even if it's brief, a stop in the work due to our lack of discipline. For example, you have a work that takes about 4 hours. If you're someone who is trying to push through it with the discipline, at 3 hours and 30 minutes you're gonna stop and think like, let's take a 20-minute break or 10-minute break and then continue again. But if you're someone who has made the mindset that he enjoys working, then he is gonna push through it without any concerns. That is the difference between mindset and discipline. The more disciplined you are, it's good. I'm not saying it is bad. It is absolutely a essential factor in your life, but the more thing you offload from the discipline part of your life and take them to the mindset part of your life, the easier it will become. It's like trying to do something first time and trying to do something by a habit. Of course, the thing that is done by a habit always wins, because that will be consistent. Now, there are two mindsets that I want you to keep in your mind for the rest of your life. Number one, essentialism. Essentialism is kind of related to the priority list I spoke about earlier, and that basically means important things first. It is there in the definition that important things first, and it's because if the task is not important, it needs not to be done. If the task is important, then you need to do it. It is simple as that. For example, if you are someone who is a content creator, what is the most important task for you? To create the content, to record the videos. It's not to reply to the comments. So if you were to make a list of things you need to do, or a to-do list basically, then you will just put your creating content block first, and then you will put your reply comments and do change logo and make thumbnails and all of these things aside. You will first keep the create content block, because that is the most important thing for you. Similarly, this essentialism philosophy tells us what is the most important thing that we need to do first. Now, if you're someone who doesn't know what is the most important task for you currently, then I have got the perfect analogy for you, and that is the one task analogy. Ask yourself the following question: if I was to do a single task for the rest of my life to grow in that part where I want to grow, what would I do? For example, in the space of studies, it can be reviewing past papers or solving questions, because that is the one thing that will give you the highest ROI, or else studying the theory or getting to know the theory better, because if you don't know the theory, you're not going to be able to solve the questions. And if you're someone who is a content creator like me, then my most important task is getting the video done, and that is why recording is my most important task. So I will not deviate from my path of recording just to do something else. And that is the one task per work philosophy that I want you to implement in your life from nowadays. The second mindset is growth mindset, which you have all heard of. That is, I might not know currently, but I know that I will know, which basically means I am going to grow. All you have to do is just admit the fact that you are not the almighty or the omnipotent person yet, but you will soon become. You are not there yet, but you will soon be there. And also, you should not look down on anything. For example, there are many people who, after attaining a bit of knowledge, start criticizing different self-improvement books and different kinds of podcasts and interviews, saying that they are meaningless, and they forget that they initially learned the knowledge from those podcasts and books, and that is why they think they are above themselves. And I don't want you to do this. I want you to understand that you are always below knowledge, which basically means knowledge is always above you. There is so much more to know than you can know. And so you just have to think that I am going to grow. Now comes the practical techniques. The first is Eisenhower matrix, and if you have not heard about it, then here is basically it, and I will explain it in a second. The Eisenhower matrix is a matrix between what is urgent and what is important, and it has 4 quadrants, like quadrants in a graph. The tasks you are going to write down in the first quadrants are both important and urgent, and you have to do those tasks. In the second quadrant, the tasks you will write down, they are important but not urgent, and so you have to schedule them. The tasks you are going to write down in the third quadrant are urgent but they are not important, and so you have to basically give those tasks to other people if it is possible. And in the last quadrant, where the tasks are not important and not urgent, I have kept them in something like a might do list, and this is the Eisenhower metric that I personally use. And the might do list basically means that yeah, I might do it. It might be today, it might be a week from now, it might be a month from now, it might be a year from now. If they are not important and if they are not urgent, then I will just keep them in a text file. I will look at them whenever I get the free time. Number 2 is a famous one, which is Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. I made about 2 or 3 videos on the techniques and how to use it for students. What does the technique actually say? What does the technique actually mean? And I'll just give you the quick summary here. 80-20 rule is basically related to the priority and the one task per work thing. That is, choose what is the most important thing and do that thing first. It's kind of like essentialism. And number 3, I cannot stress this enough, time blocking. Use a calendar app. Now don't ever think about increasing productivity without the use of a calendar app, because calendar is a lifesaver. It's like a, if you will, God-given app, because it just gives you your week or your month or your year or even your day at a glance of what you have to do. I discovered calendar apps way late, in about 2022 or something, when I was just starting to get into the productivity and self-improvement things and all, and I was amazed by how well it could do things. I always use the week view, and it's amazing that you can schedule your week's worth of work and have that entire thing display on your screen, and it's just amazing. It takes so much brain power off you. Now this might be a no-brainer to someone, but if someone who is watching and he or she does not use a calendar app, then I'm telling you, nothing will change your life except this damn app. Just try it and you will thank me later. Now these are the practical techniques done, and now let's move on to action plan. So the action plan is very simple. Number 1 thing you need to remember is mindset is very important. And as I said, mindset is important because it takes the hard work of discipline away from you and puts it into an automatic system or a flow. This helps you to take the load off your brain. Number 2, techniques boost your success rate. Now, if you are someone who does not use any kind of techniques or methods in your work or your systems, then you are actually missing out on so much progress and potential. If you apply just the 3 techniques I told you in this video, your life is going to have a 180 in itself, because these 3 are the most powerful techniques in the entire world and they help you a lot. If you are someone who was not aware about Pareto's 80-20 principle and you try to do everything at once, you will fail. But now, since you are aware of the Pareto's 80-20 principle, you are going to breeze through your tasks, which is far more efficient than your competitors. Now number 3, which is a very important one, don't app jump. This is what I did when I started getting into the productivity niche. That is, I kept jumping from app to app. For example, I tried Notion, I tried Evernote, I tried Trello, I tried Slack, I tried Obsidian, and I currently stuck to Obsidian because that is the one I like. And that is just the note taking part. For different things, I tried different apps. For example, for tasks and to-do list, I tried Todoist, I tried TicTac, I tried, I don't even know how many were there. Then for habits, Habit Tracker, then Loop Habit Tracker, Notion Habit Tracker templates. Then there was Gamify Your Habits, what is that, Habitica, and so many different things. And I finally understood one thing. You don't need all of these things. If you have the concept, you can do your productivity with a simple Windows notepad. And if you don't have the mindset, you can switch from hundreds of different apps and you are still not going to get the results. Now, yes, I admit that some of the apps are very useful in certain areas, and for that you absolutely should use those apps. But if you're someone who is not in need of such kind of apps, then don't use them. Don't waste your time on those type of apps. For example, I thought of tracking my habits so many times and I ultimately failed in all of this, and I wasted so much time of my life trying to figure out the best habit tracker. I tried it in phone, I tried it in PC, I tried it on the web, and what I finally stuck to will probably make you laugh. That is Microsoft Excel, and I currently like it. It's efficient for me and so it's good. I don't need a fancy app to track my habits. Now number 4 is get your priority in order. That means what is your priority is your priority. That is the topmost thing you are going to do. Below that, they are all tasks. They are not priority. Once your priority is over, then the next priority comes, then the next, and so on. But there should be no point in time where you have 2 or 3 priorities. Number 5, one step at a time. One step at a time means that you have to do things slowly, or that you can't do everything at once. For example, you're learning to sing. Then could you sing the notes, sing a song, play an instrument, and do all of these things in just one day? No, it's impossible. You have to take days, weeks, months, even years to master a single part. For example, it might be playing an instrument. An instrument takes a lot of time to master. It might be enhancing your vocals. It takes a lot of practice and time to master your vocals. So what you have to understand is you have to take things one step at a time. And last but not the least, it takes time. Now, this is the hard truth where everyone quit. That is, it takes time. The graph of success is never linear. The graph of success looks like this. It is always exponential, and it after a certain amount of time it just shoots away. And for this much of time you have to wait, and at that point of time it is just going to shoot massively. And what most people do is they quit in this part of the journey. They just quit it because they are not seeing the results, but they don't understand that it takes time to see the results. And I really hope that you're someone who understands, because I have lost about a year or 2 years worth of progress just because I quit in this part and I did not stuck to it for long enough. You have to understand that consistency is the key. And for your journey, I wish you all the best and good luck. I'll see you in the next one. Start if you haven't already.